Okay, so press conference here. I wanted to get your reaction. How quickly before we might see somebody actually drilling for oil or gas in a state park?
I don't think you'll see someone drilling for oil or gas in a state park, for quite some time. Certainly, not for a while in this administration. What we're doing is we're going through a process after the law was enacted last year of figuring out what our property rights are, what our mineral rights are. Several of the properties they talked about today, are non-starters because they're tied to federal funding. Some are non-starters because that's just not what we want to do. We're putting together our proposals, and we're looking at what state lands are feasible for oil and gas exploration. But we're going to do it responsibly. We're going to do it with protecting the environment in mind.
So there's no list at this point of places where people will be drilling for oil or gas?
Certainly not, and certainly no plans to place any oil derricks on state parks.
Okay. What is this leasing? There's a leasing group that ultimately is going to control all this, right?
Well, last year the General Assembly passed legislation instructing the state to put together a panel that will allow for leasing of state-owned properties for oil and gas exploration. That panel hasn't been put together. It'll be put together, I would imagine, sometime in the fall, and from then they'll move forward.
And they're going to make the rules and decide whether someone's actually going to drill in a park or anything like that, correct?
Well, they'll make the rules, they'll evaluate proposals, but until that commission is put together, any state agency can look at exploring their mineral rights. But they'll have to do it through an open process, through a public bid, and certainly everything will be on the table.
Are hikers going to see oil derricks in the middle of a state park? Are campers going to see oil derricks from next to their tent pads? Is that going to happen?
I can't see that happening, no.
Why not?
It's just not in the overall interest of the state park use. There may be some places that are state properties that may be responsible for that type of activity. But that's the process we're going through now, and when we come to those decisions, we'll certainly announce them.
Tell me again, where can people, under the law that was passed last year, where can they drill, where can't they drill from a state property standpoint?
Well, what the law said is that state-owned properties can be evaluated for leasing of the mineral rights. Now, right now it's up to state agencies to determine whether or not they want to put their mineral rights up for bid, and they would have to do that in a public process with an RFP. People would bid on the process, and the highest bidder, and so on. When a commission is set up, that commission will take proposals, hold public hearings, vote on the decisions, and move forward.
But that's parks, preserves aren't in there, right? I mean, what isn't included? Where can't they?
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. The focus is on parks.
Yeah.
But what the law discussed was all state properties. And I don't even know that we'll ever see any type of exploration on state parks.